We are on step 11, 12, and 13 of the 13 steps to build a scalable business. We're on step 11, building systems, document, and take massive action. So, what exactly does this mean? So, if you remember, right, in a few earlier steps, we had talked about um, kind of putting our processes in place, and we would talk about the systems at a later time. Well, this is where we talk about our systems. And by definition, we're not necessarily talking about a piece of technology for a system. A system could be a procedure or a process or the way that you fulfill a task, if you will. Um, so now that you've identified and gone through, steps 1 through 10, we can put those systems, identify what those systems are, document them, and then take action. So in Jake's video, he had talked about the just lead generating, right? And so we'll use the same example in talking about what systems are needed for lead generating. So if you're lead generating and you're going to make outbound calls, as an example, what systems would you need? Well, you need some equipment, right? You're going to need a phone. You're going to need phone numbers. Who are you going to call? You need scripts so that you know what you're going to say. And then you're going to need to know if somebody answers the phone and in a conversation and they have objections, how are you going to handle those objections? So that's your system. So you want to make sure that you have those systems documented. So if you're lead generating, making outbound phone calls, what are the things that you're going to need? You're going to need a phone, you're going to need scripts, you're going to need to know who to call, you're going to need to know what to say, how to handle objections, how to ask for an appointment, and sorry, there's a gnat in here. So that's an example of what those systems are. So you want to identify all of your systems in your business. Sorry, you're going to need to document what those systems are. And then you're going to take massive, as Jake says, massive action. Um, let's just talk about kind of what types of systems are needed. You need systems for any type of procedures or operation. So lead generating, lead converting. How about a follow-up system? What is your follow-up system? Maybe it's things like your transactions. What is your system for putting a contract together? What is your transaction management and compliance system? You need to have that in place. Even things as your daily schedule. What is your daily schedule? How are you keeping your daily schedule? Are you using a paper planner? Like I've got one here. Or are you using Gmail, Microsoft tools, things like that? What is your calendaring system? So those are all the different kinds of th systems that you need. And what are the three things that you can do now? Do you have those systems in place? Are they functioning well? Do you need to make any tweaks to those systems? Um, and if you don't have those systems, what systems do you need and what's the priority? So you want to make sure that you prioritize those systems because otherwise you're just going to be trying to, as I like to say, boil the ocean. As you grow, you're going to go through, as Jake put it, a break fix process. So, whatever your systems are, your infrastructure is for selling 20 homes in a year is not going to be the same for you to scale. That's what your desire is to scale your business. If you want to grow to selling 35 homes in a year, what modifications of your systems and your processes do you need to make? And let's prioritize those. What are those priorities? What do you need to do? Do you need to make an investment, a financial investment in your business? Those types of things. The point that Jake was making about taking massive action is, yep, lay out your plan. What are the things that you need to prioritize? But take action, put those systems in place, and move forward into growth mode and growing your business the way that you want it to be. The next topic, step 12 of the 13, is marketing. So this is, and how we've got it laid out here, is a 5-step process. Establishing your brand, establishing your message, your strategy, budget, and KPIs. So when we talk about establishing your brand, so this is not necessarily, it is, but it's your your logo, your brand colors, those kinds of things. But it's also because real estate is such a relationship-based business, but it's you, you as an agent, you as an individual. What is your brand and what are you looking to portray to your current clients and customers and future clients and customers of your business? You as a person, your brand, it's your whole brand identity is what it is. Next, you want to establish your message. So what is the voice behind your brand? And it's not, sorry, it's the net. Um, it's not only just your physical voice, right? But it's also the message that you want to inform your clients and customers about. So maybe it's a tagline or something like that, or it's it could very well be based on, if you go back to your previous sessions where we were talking about your mission, your vision, and your value statement, right? So maybe it's integrity. Maybe it's a particular niche of clients that you want to work with. Maybe it's first-time home buyers. Maybe it's military. So that is all included in your message and that message that you want to portray to your clients and customers. Next is establishing your strategy. So these are going to be the specific methods that you're going to use to reach out to your client base, your existing clients, your future clients. And what you're going to be communicating is your brand and your message. So what you have in the first 2 items is what you're going to be including in number 3 in your strategy. And how do you want to deliver that message? And actually executing the deliverance of that message. So is it paper? Do you want to handwritten notes? Is it paper marketing materials? Do you want to do all of your marketing online? Is it social media? Those types of things. But it's the actual execution, deliverance of your brand and your message is your strategy. Oh, yes. Number 4, you need to put a budget around it. So, interesting thing about the real estate industry is everybody's got a tool and a resource for everything. And usually it costs some money. So, of course, use those freebie or those low cost mechanisms to get your message out. But determine, do you have some funds that you would want to put towards a, doing some ads, social media ads, or print advertising? Or, do you want to put together a video message for your clients? a professional video message, something that's a little bit above and beyond recording something on your phone. So, putting together your budget, your systems, your technology, how much do you want to invest in all of those tools that we talked about in um, step 11 also is going to be because maybe one of those tools is your marketing. So you're going to want to put some dollars and cents around it. Establishing your KPIs. KPIs stand for key performance indicators. So you've worked really hard up until this point. You've got your systems documented. You've got them in place. You've got your brand message strategy, your budget put together. Well, how do you know that it's working the way that you want it to? So you have to, and that's, you measure that through key performance indicators. So an example is if you're doing an online marketing strategy and you're sending emails out, just as an example. So what's your open rate? What's your click-through rate? Do you have, in your messaging, do you have links to a landing page, for an example? What's the open rate? What's the click-through rate? What's the deliverability rate? What's happening and what's the follow-through? So those are all of your, examples of your KPIs. And also what type of return are you getting on your investment? So you're putting together, you've invested in these marketing strategies. What's your return on your strategies? So you always have to do a look back to see, okay, I'm doing these, and as another example, I'm doing online ads on Instagram ads. And okay, am I getting qualified clients? Am I getting leads from those ads that I'm running? So in with the KPIs, I think you do need to roll in your ROI to make sure that the investment that you're putting into these strategies, you're getting your money's worth. And if you're not, a process to reevaluate um, those efforts on a regular basis because you want to do these strategies that are cost effective and growing your business. Step 13, the last, we're closing this up. We're kind of wrap a little bow on this, and we're going to call the 13 steps of building a scalable business. We're going to call it done after today. So repurposing and repackaging, right? So I kind of led to this a little bit when we were talking about step 12, but it's always a rinse and repeat, a rewind and play again. Is are you the things that you're doing in your business, can you repurpose them? Can you share them with other agents in the brokerage, or how can you be useful and share your learnings with other agents? um but also taking things like if you decided to invest in an online marketing strategy, say you recorded a video of how to properly list your home, or 19 ways to list your home and get it sold quick. Can you take those little pieces and repurpose them to little short form video? How can you take your marketing efforts and expand them and have them get every squeeze in the turnip, if you will, and just getting everything out of your efforts that you can. So say you decide to put together, you have a listing and you want to put together a property flyer. Well, you don't want to just put that property flyer in the listing, right? You want to get that property flyer out to the masses. So you're going to repurpose it. You're going to send it to the neighbors. Maybe you do a mailer campaign or door knocking to find other listings in a neighborhood. Um, Repurpose that flyer to, maybe you have buyers that have been looking for a home just like what you have listed. Take that flyer, send it to them, electronically, snail mail, however. So that's the idea behind repurposing and repackaging is how can you take the content, the everything that you've put together, and how can you repurpose it, reuse it, not only specifically for what you're doing now, but how can you use it for lead generating or reaching out to your clients, things like that. If you have any questions about any of the topics that we covered in this series of 13 steps to building a scalable business, feel free to reach out. I am Dawn Melvin, the designated broker for List and Market Realty, and look forward to coming to you again with other tips and tricks on growing your real estate business. Have a good day.